René Descartes, a 17th century philosopher, embarked on a quest for certain knowledge. He was troubled by the uncertainties of his time. Skepticism was on the rise, and traditional beliefs were being questioned. Descartes sought an unshakable foundation for knowledge. He began by doubting everything he thought he knew. He realized that our senses can deceive us. He even considered the possibility that an evil demon might be tricking him. Descartes' famous declaration, cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, emerged from this radical doubt. He reasoned that even if he doubted everything else, the very act of doubting proved his existence as a thinking being. Having established his own existence, Descartes sought to rebuild a system of knowledge based on firm foundations. He believed that God, a perfect and benevolent being, played a crucial role in guaranteeing the truth of our clear and distinct ideas. Descartes formulated several arguments for God's existence, aiming to secure the certainty he craved. One of Descartes' most influential arguments for God's existence relies on the idea of perfection. Descartes argued that he, an imperfect being, could conceive of the idea of a perfect God. Since the idea of perfection could not have originated from an imperfect being, it must have been placed in his mind by God himself. This argument, known as the ontological argument, has been debated by philosophers for centuries. Another argument proposed by Descartes is based on the idea of causality. He argued that everything must have a cause. The universe, being a complex and ordered system, must have a cause outside of itself. This ultimate cause, Descartes reasoned, is God. Descartes' cosmological argument, like his ontological argument, aims to demonstrate God's existence as a necessary foundation for knowledge and certainty. Descartes believed that God, being perfect and good, would not deceive us. Therefore, our clear and distinct ideas, which are implanted in us by God, must be true. This line of reasoning, however, leads to a significant problem in Descartes' philosophy, the Cartesian circle. The Cartesian circle arises from the circular relationship between Descartes' proof of God's existence and his claim that God guarantees the truth of our clear and distinct ideas. Descartes argues that we can trust our clear and distinct ideas because God guarantees their truth. However, his proof of God's existence relies on the assumption that our clear and distinct ideas are reliable. This circularity undermines the foundation of Descartes' system. If we need to assume the truth of our clear and distinct ideas in order to prove God's existence, and our justification for trusting those ideas depends on God's existence, then the argument collapses in on itself. The Cartesian circle reveals a fundamental flaw in Descartes' attempt to secure certain knowledge. Critics argue that the Cartesian circle demonstrates the limitations of reason alone in proving God's existence. They point out that Descartes' arguments rely on assumptions that cannot be proven without resorting to circular reasoning. The Cartesian circle highlights the difficulty of establishing an unshakable foundation for knowledge. Despite its flaws, the Cartesian circle remains an important topic of philosophical debate. Some philosophers have attempted to defend Descartes, arguing that the circularity is not as problematic as it initially appears. They suggest that Descartes' arguments can be interpreted in a way that avoids the circularity. Regardless of whether or not the Cartesian circle can be salvaged, it has had a profound impact on the history of philosophy. Descartes' attempt to ground knowledge in certainty and the subsequent critique of his circular reasoning have shaped philosophical inquiry for centuries. Descartes' philosophy, despite its flaws, left an indelible mark on Western thought. His emphasis on reason and his quest for certainty continue to resonate with philosophers today. The Cartesian method, with its emphasis on doubt and systematic analysis, remains an important tool for critical thinking. Moreover, Descartes' focus on the subjective experience of the thinking self paved the way for later developments in philosophy, such as phenomenology and existentialism. Descartes' work, even in its imperfections, served as a catalyst for philosophical inquiry and continues to inspire debate and discussion. The Cartesian circle, as a critique of Descartes' philosophy, has also had a lasting impact on philosophical thought. It has led philosophers to question the limits of reason and the relationship between faith and reason. The debate over the Cartesian circle has encouraged a more nuanced understanding of the nature of knowledge and the challenges of achieving certainty. In conclusion, Descartes' attempt to prove God's existence and the subsequent critique of the Cartesian circle highlight the complexities and challenges of philosophical inquiry. While Descartes' quest for certainty may have been flawed, his work continues to stimulate philosophical thought and inspire new generations of thinkers to grapple with fundamental questions about the nature of knowledge, existence, and the divine.